Hey, 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 ladies and gents. Coming at you from distant shores during summer's peak with more podcast profundity, more truth telling, more anal anecdotes. This is what happens when you have a thing for alliteration. Now, you're either snickering to yourself or rolling your peepers back in your head, but that's the nature of comedy, am I right? It is totally, completely subjective, which makes it risky for the teller. But the best material, I find, tends to be the most authentic and the most vulnerable. It's a catch-22, a Kobayashi Maru, and therein lieth the rub, and no, that was not a Louis C.K. reference, but I guess now it is. So that was the wind-up, and now for the pitch. You see, an old friend and fan, I guess that's what you call it, it's still a hard word for me to say, that's fan, but this guy I know surprised me with a request. It seems he wants me to write something for him as a paid commission, which, okay, you have my attention, and I wish more people were like you because I could use the dosh. Now, I could do any story I liked in any format that suited it as long as it followed his proposed theme. Okay, I'll bite. What's the theme, sir? He asked with equal parts curiosity and dread. Drum roll, please. Live performance. Now, at first, I did not know how to react to that. Like, my head started going, oh, how about a sci-fi story about a rock band saving the world from aliens with their shit-awful concert? Or, then I went on to like a one-man Fringe Festival play where I do all the characters from Fawlty Towers and Russian Deadpan. Badly. And then I had this vision of like of shooting a TED Talk parody that starts like, innocuous, harmless enough, and it's all earnest, and then it ends with a guy going crazy in the front row getting splattered by the speaker's bipolar brains all Gallagher watermelon style. Now that's comedy. And then a little light bulb flicked on in my head. You see, sometimes your past feels so far removed from who you've become that it's like trying to recall the life of a completely different person. And yeah, exactly 30 years ago, there was this brash, foul-mouthed, overcompensating, girl-obsessed, and woefully immature version of this particular person, this dude right here, spending his summer nights in Windsor, Ontario, and Motor City, Michigan, doing stand-up comedy. Oh yeah, it's true. It's damn true. So, buddy, Chris Spirit Brown, this one's for you. By special request, please welcome to the Buddha and the Slut stage in downtown internet, the bastard is back for a one-night stand. Next stage. Wow. 30 years. Right? Let's get to the point. 30 years. That's crazy, right? 30 years. That's enough time to live a little, you'd think, like amass some worldly wisdom in this old brain pan. Now let me tell you something, people, that I've learned in 30 years, give or take. This one's for the guys. Now, fellas, guys, bros, buds, if you're straight and in the early stages of a relationship with a fine lady who just might be a smidgen out of your league, please, for the love of God, do not ask her for your rating on a 1 to 10 scale. Don't. Just don't. Do not do it. I am serious. Now, okay, people, I know. Let's explain something to you. It is in our nature. Okay? It's our nature. We bros need to categorize and classify shit and compare and quantify that shit and put everything in its right place, move that shit around. That's how our mouth-breathing, knuckle-dragging monkey brains make sense of said shit. That movie we just saw, that was a low 6.
That burger, man, that was a solid 8.
That toilet covered in piss with the shit on the walls was awful, but the paper in there was really soft, so I have to give it a decent 3. We rate everything. So of course, it stands to reason that we rate you. And we know that you hate it, but girls, ladies, women, in the immortal words of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus's John Gray, this is our love language. Okay? When we get into a relationship, into something beyond just a casual one-night stand or dalliance, we will always bump you up a bit. At least a point. 2 if you swallow. We can't help it. That's how we roll. But the problem with love languages is that most of us expect others to speak the same one. You know the deal. You give a back rub, you want a back rub. You love to cook, you want to be with people who love to eat. You worship her G-spot, and you can't help but hope the word prostate means more to her than a potential cancer. Okay? Do you get it now? It's just human nature. But guys, please, dudes, that does not work for ratings. On 1 to 10 scales of a new partner's attractiveness, especially if she's rocking some serious beauty, women tend to lean towards cold, cruel logic. No, it's true. It might be the only time they do that whole logic thing, but they do it. I'm telling you this. All right, don't believe me? Then here's a true story. Here it comes. I was seeing this girl, this woman, to be fair, because she was pushing 40 but did not look a day over 25, and she was a dancer. Not that kind of dancer. There was no brass pole involved. And this was an honest-to-God ballerina. Nutcracker supreme, I'm telling you, okay? Gorgeous and strong and petite. And she was like this little French-Canadian Michelle Pfeiffer who could have played Catwoman because she was bendy enough to clean herself, if you smell what I'm cooking. Now, of course, right? Okay? Now, of course, I gave her a rating. A very, very high 8. Low 9. Would have been even more if the stuff downstairs wasn't so flappy, but not a deal breaker by any means. I am a labia fan now. People grow. People change. Give us the room to do so. Don't worry, ladies. I get mine in a minute. Trust me. So we've been together, about 2 months. We're taking it easy. Once or twice a week when her rehearsal schedule allows, or when I'm not high. And I'm not over eager, but I want to see her because she's a babe. And finally, what I do the gentlemanly thing. I invite her over to my place. I'm going to cook something she likes, and we're going to watch West Side Story in surround sound so I can get her thoughts on the choreography and make the night all about her, but also have an excuse to show off my singing, maybe win a few points. And one thing leads to another, and we end up in the shower. You tease each other a bit and play around, push around, smoochy up and down. Then she blasts me with cold water, laughing. And, I push her against the wall, all manly and shit. You know the deal, right, girls? And in my sexiest growl, I say, I can't wait to tear you apart. And she smirks at me with the cold water pouring down. Yes, that is where this is going. And she looks down and says, not with that, you won't. Famed Canadian author Margaret Atwood once said, wisely I might add, men are afraid that women will laugh at them, and women are afraid that men will kill them. In that moment, I understood both perspectives very clearly. Easy, everything's fine. She's all well and good. Don't worry, I kept my cool, did my bedroom duties, followed through, solid performance. But then, man, I had to be stupid enough to ask the question because there was this disturbance in the force now, this imbalance that I saw, and I had to know, babe, what would you rate me on a 1 to 10? Oh, shit. Deer in fucking headlights. And she saw that I saw she was a deer in fucking headlights. She went all quiet and then composed and then looked up and to the left, crunching all the outcomes in her head, pretending she hadn't really thought about it yet at all. But now, after some seriously heartfelt deliberation and consideration, oh dear, I'd say a 7 at least, maybe even an 8. A 7. A fucking 7. Even averaged out with the second ranking to a generous 7.5. What's the report card equivalent to that, huh? A B? I haven't gotten a fucking B since grade 9 gym class when I couldn't climb the rope because I had hand eczema. Fucking B. 7s. That's why you don't ask. That is a path to ruin. The seed has been planted. You will never feel confident again. And if you give her the cold shoulder to regain some leverage, get some hand back, then you're the asshole. But you do what I usually do and what I did and be excruciatingly nice and sweet and supportive and try even harder to raise that score up. Fuck, man. I tracked down a limited edition volume on modern dance for her for Christmas. Special ordered, pricey as fuck, wrote a poem on the inside about her grace and her timeless beauty, lovingly wrapped it, and I gave it to her. She was like, oh, that's wonderful. And you know what I got? You know what she gave me? A $12 softcover handbook on Pilates with illustrations. And in it, she wrote, to help with that tummy of yours. Merry Christmas, B. 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 Story of my life, okay? See, you date enough, and it goes to shit enough, and man, then of course you blame yourself or the other person enough, and it gets to the point where you seriously consider switching teams, right? But then I remember all the exes who told me that I'm already a lesbian in a man's body, and that fucks with my head, because I can't picture how switching teams would even work then. It's true. Lesbian in a man's body. Said more than once. Oh, Brooke, you're so sensitive, and you like wine and poetry and chocolate and long baths and movies about horses. And yes, I wear my hair short, and I love to fist and eat pussy. Fine, I'm a dyke, okay? There's nothing wrong with that, okay? Lesbian in a man's body. Cool. Maybe that's why so many exes switch teams after me. That's true, too. They either get married, go all yoga spiritual vegan, or get girl power. It's honestly, you look at it and it's like they're thinking, this is as close to a woman as I can get while still having some dick. But it's just not working for me anymore. Guess it's time to bump some bagels. It's, you learn to live with this shit, these drawbacks, these disabilities. I have always been in public perception a little femme. Not afraid to admit it anymore. I'm a late bloomer too. So you got to picture a farming and hockey town full of dudes in muscle cars and pickup trucks with mustaches and testicles that would actually swing instead of hiding like a pair of frightened grapes. And I was the guy in high school with a really high voice until I was 16. Hey there, you want to go out sometime? And no girl can take that seriously, man. I was fucked. Just the genetic lottery, I failed it. And then I read in some actor's handbook how one guy took up chain smoking to get those manly tones he always wanted for the character parts. And that's how it all began. That's when I started smoking. I dedicated myself that whole summer to the dream. And when I came back to school 2 months later, hey there, how you doing? Sure, I smelled bad, and I lost my singing voice, and 30 years later I got yellow teeth, loose skin, and erectile dysfunction, but hey, how you doing? Thanks a lot, Tommy Lee Jones, you pock-faced fuck. And that's the thing, ladies. We will do anything for you. No matter how stupid or desperate or self-destructive, it's for your attention and your affection and your approval. And you know why? It's simple. Because you hold the ultimate power over us. We need our seed to pass on, and you are the gatekeepers. You are the ones who hold the power, the ultimate power of sexual choice. People who study creatures say that in every two-sex species on Earth, the female is considered superior. And I'm telling you, humans are no different. No, listen for a second. Why do you think all those assholes got together thousands of years ago and built the patriarchy in the first place? To get laid. The best hunters, they got laid. The strongest fighters, they got laid. And all of them alphas. But, then the nature nerds, the druids get together, create agriculture, and all the hungry chicks let them get laid. Build some cities and some religious structures, trade routes, and monetary systems that you're a slave to now, and a slew of average dudes finally get laid. I read a famous feminist author, seriously, who had the balls to claim that the reason the lion's share of the great scientific, cultural, military, political, and artistic triumphs over the course of civilization were mainly by men, yeah, and of course, also all the worst atrocities ever recorded, it was because historical accounts strongly implied, according to her, that these outliers, these special men, were initially seen as unattractive to women. So what do? They channeled all that pent-up cum brain into figuring out shit like gravity. Building massive churches, writing operas and sonnets, conquering nations, and genocide, and crusades, and terrorism, and gang rape, and diddling kids. Hey, I'm not saying it's true. But, whatever the case, whatever the cause, the good thing is, I think we can all agree, the good thing is, ladies, the pendulum is finally swinging. Fast and hard like a big fat cock. It cannot be denied. You're finally getting it. The power you have, how strong you are. You're seeing through the great ruse we created. You don't need us anymore, bitches. Hallelujah. It's true. And I am all for it. I just want to be there to feed you some grapes. If we somehow put on the brakes before smashing headlong into the guaranteed apocalypse of climate change and water wars and mass pandemics and Mad Max tribal carnage around the world Thunderdome, it'll be because of you. That's right. Give yourself a hand. You're going to save the world, and you'll do it in style. But, okay, bear with me. Just one piece of advice for you, okay? Just one. You know that old chestnut about power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely? How about you try not to rub it in when you take the reins? Don't be dicks about it. Because right now everyone's waving around and screaming and pointing fingers saying, toxic masculinity, but you ain't all angels. Not every mom is nice. Not all wives are kind and good. Mean cunts are a thing. Come on, it's just a word. Ask the Brits. Hey there, cunt. How you doing, cunt? Hi, Mom, you're a cunt. It's just a word. I am not being misogynist. Because on one hand, we absolutely deserve everything that's coming to us. Without question. Seriously, I'm with you. But can you for a second, please think about this. Can you be gracious winners? Like, for example, when we get together as boys to talk about the increasing rates of adult male suicide, 6-1 over women at last count with a bullet, like, maybe don't spray paint "Crybabies Go Home" over the conference center door. Yeah, that happened on a university campus. Children are the future. And, if we gather to ask for fair divorce and custody laws, which have been really lopsided for a long time now, just for the mere chance to see and support and love our kids more than a weekend a month while not ending up bankrupt and homeless, maybe don't shout "losers" at us and howl with laughter as we sob. Maybe. And if somehow we find the courage to share our own tales of victimhood and abuse, wouldn't it be nice if there was a shoulder to lean on for us too? But not just for us, of course. You started this whole thing for everyone. A place where we can all finally be vulnerable, like a nice, safe place. And some more hashtags on Twitter, like hashtag in it together, hashtag everybody hurts, hashtag us too. Okay? I.e., example. Third year university. Mass communication statistics class. I sucked at stats. Blue goats. My math brain gave up the ghost after fucking up a character's armor class in my last high school D&D campaign. Yep, brain gone, fuck numbers. I was an arts kid now. So, I was worried. I was worried about my GPA going down, and I approached the TA for help for the class, the stats TA, because I wanted to stay in honors. And she would be the one marking the final exams. That was the word. Now let me just set the scene here. Open the door. This was a handsome German woman. And by that I mean 10 to 12 years older, chiseled jaw, dagger blue eyes, and could out-squat me at the gym. Yeah, I like women who can hurt me, or at least make an airtight seal with their thighs. If you're gonna go with a smile. Yeah, someone called Freud. And after an hour or so of chapter review and small talk, she asked me out to the grad house for a beer across the street. or 2, or 3. And when those Aryan dominatrix Indiana Jones Nazi villain eyes of hers started burning holes through my pants whenever I stood up to pee, the dynamic became pretty damn clear. And then, when her disturbingly large German hand crossed the Polish border of my thigh, I'm sure we can figure out something, Brooke. Help each other. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I was 20 and a little drunk and intimidated and academically desperate. And did she just use a long neck bottle to demonstrate a complete lack of gag reflex? Okay. Yes, I buckled. All right? Buckled like a belt. And then she unbuckled me at her house a few blocks away. And it didn't last long, but it seemed good, I guess. And, it all was fair and good. And then I went home, and then I slept a bit. Then I wrote the exam, and a week later I went to where they post the marks outside of the professor's door. And you know what? You know what mark I got? A fucking B! Thank you. Thanks. Yes. But first, someone buy me a shot of Jaeger, motherfucker. I am done.